Let's go, folks. Time for the Gibby Show.
How you doing, baseball fans? And welcome to another edition of the Gibby Show, your weekly podcast covering the game that we love, Major League Baseball. And we're here at one of the most beloved personalities in all of baseball, the former two-time manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, the baseball lifer, the upcoming author, wearing his Budweiser shirt today, direct from San Antonio, Texas, Mr. John Gibbons. How are you, John?
Johnny, I'm good, man. I'm looking forward to the show like I always am. It's good to see your beautiful smiling face. You're right,
Well, same
Budweiser.
here,
Have Budweiser get on there, man. That looks good, you know.
Well, you should be wearing one of these.
Oh, your mornings.
But yeah, I mean, things are going good down in Texas for you, John. Weather's good. It's a little chilly. Ready for the winter and Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you know what though, this time of year is kind of cool as you watch teams and what they're going to do, the transactions during the offseason. But you miss the actual game being played. Baseball is such a long season, and you get in that groove, man. And day to day, you might miss a day or two, but then you pick right back up, and it's such a long grind. But when it's over, it's like something's missing from your life. I know some people love the NFL, but there's still nothing like Major League Baseball.
No, I'm having, withdrawals. I really am. And it wasn't for this podcast. And I cover, every day I'm reading up about what's going on and listening to podcasts. But it's the hot stove league. And right now, I mean, what we're going to cover on today's episode is the beginning of that baseball free agent season, teams positioning themselves to improve themselves for 2023, and the Blue Jays figuring to be right in that mix. So we'll go over the Jays not offering a qualifying offer to one of their most prominent free agents, and if they should trade one of their catchers. Also going on in baseball, Pete Rose is in the news again, so we'll go over what's going on with Pete. In our Gabbin with Gibby segment, John, you've done it again. We bring on one of Toronto's all-time legends, Vernon Wells, with us, and then we will answer your questions in the Ask Gibby segment, brought to you by Budweiser. The fans who ask questions that we answer here on this podcast will receive a gift package from Budweiser, because that's what Buds do. Is that shirt part of the gift package that the lucky winners are going to get, or the lucky people we select?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think so, but I'm sure you just got that included right there. Right? I know you get a baseball, a little signed autographed baseball of mine, whether you want it or not. And I don't know what else is package, but this would look nice in that package.
Yeah. Well, we have
but
those.
I'm going to buy my own, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Well, you're looking good there with the Bud T-shirt on, the Budweiser T-shirt, and why don't we go to the leadoff, because there's a lot going on, and the Blue Jays are right up there in the mix with some pretty big stories that are starting to break a little bit. An interesting thing, they chose not to extend the qualifying offer this week to their highest profile free agent, Ross Stripling. They decided against giving him that offer, which is really very robust these days. It's $19.65 million for the qualifying offer, which allows him to now go into the open market without a compensation pick attached. So Stripling could still return to Toronto, but the Jays will not get a draft pick if he signs elsewhere. What do you think about what's going on with Ross? Because he really stepped up, and now no qualifying offer. They're just going to kind of let it ride and see what happens with him.
Yeah, Johnny, it's really hard to get inside, unless you're in that real tight inner circle and what they're thinking is there. Other than maybe I was thinking maybe Stripling, he had the big year this year. He had some good solid years with the Dodgers, but really everything really kind of came together this year. So he's in the driver's seat, right? Maybe they think that's just too much of a price to pay, for 1 year. Maybe they'll try to re-sign him for multi-year deal. I really couldn't tell you on that. But the big thing is, if he does go elsewhere, which there'll be teams bidding on him, you lose out on that compensation pick. And,
right.
So I know they have their budgets, and whether he fits, that's 19, whatever it is, $20 million. That's a lot of money. But in today's game, when you're looking for starting pitching, it's a small price to pay. So we'll see. You never really know for sure.
No.
It's not like Stripling's been that guy for the last 4 or 5 years. He just really kind of a
Well, he
late bloomer
stepped
in a lot of
up in
ways.
2022. I mean, he stepped up big time
Yes, they
after
need him. I
the
mean,
injury to Rayu.
they need him, or they need somebody, that can do some pretty good body work like he did. That's for sure.
Yeah. They've also been in the news with the rumor mill. According to Sportsnet's Ben Nicholson Smith, the Blue Jays have interest in signing left-handed pitcher Andrew Heaney, and was wondering if you heard about that. And that's kind of a hot and heavy rumor right now.
Yeah, that may be part of the Stripling deal. We're not going to sign him.
Yeah.
We're going to bring Heaney in. It's
And he was in the mix last year, wasn't he? Kind of bantered around last year about coming in. They were trying to get him last year.
Yeah. You hear that name tossed around a lot. Bottom line is, though, I don't care who you are. If you don't have starting pitching, you got no shot, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're a team that has a legitimate shot, which the Blue Jays do, you got to step up and you got to sign those guys. And hey, they got the ownership. They got money. They got money to do that. So it'll be interesting to see. But I don't think they can go through this offseason and not make a big splash with a starting pitcher and upgrading their bullpen a little bit. I mean, they're good. They're really good as they are right now. But to get to that elite level, like you watch the Astros and some of those teams, you got to do it.
You think they may have or go after Rodon? Or is he too elite to bring in? But anything's possible.
Yeah, I would. Why wouldn't you? I mean, if you really, it comes to a certain point in every team's, franchises go like this, right? They'll stay on top for a while, and then they, naturally, then they'll sell off and rebuild, what have you. They're kind of in that position right now. They got here, a crazy exit to the postseason that nobody expected. So they're right here. And what you battle is, I know you have some financial restraints, but your fan base, they're going, hey, let's go. You know what? We've stepped up.
Mm-hmm.
Show us that you're serious about it, right? So a guy like you say, Rondon, if he's the best guy or one of the top guys out there, sometimes you have to sacrifice because everybody's seen. I saw firsthand what winning in Toronto does, right?
Yeah.
They start rolling in the dough. People come out. It's incredible because you have one team in one country. So, sometimes you gotta roll the dice and gamble, and you got to bring in your best players.
The fans, for them, I mean, they want the big names, the big stars. They don't understand sometimes what the budget is. They just know that the teams are all making money. So this is really a pretty anxious time for the fans, not only in Toronto but throughout baseball. And like, who are they gonna get? Who's gonna leave? I mean, the Mets are going through that right now with DeGrom and Bassett and Taijuan Walker. I mean, the Mets pitching staff is decimated, but it's happening everywhere. But this is the most exciting time to me in baseball before spring training, obviously, is like what's going to happen in the free agent market. And another rumor that kind of circulated this week, which was kind of an interesting one, was a possibility of a trade between the Braves and the Blue Jays. Maybe it's kind of pure speculation, but I like to cover rumors just to get your take on them. Bo Bichette being sent to the Braves for Acuna. That was an interesting one that was brought up in the media this week.
Yeah, I did. I saw glimpses of that. I would kind of be shocked by that. To tell you the truth, you get a Acuna down there, a young star. He's actually, he's making a lot of money, but he's still a young kid, and who knows how good he's going to be, right? Bo Bichette, on the same end. Bo's off to a tremendous start in his career.
Yes,
and the sky's the limit. But yet he doesn't have that big contract, So there's, I'm sure.
Yeah,
a lot of that goes
they
into
were saying Acuna could get upset if Dansby Swanson signs a contract with a higher average annual value than $100 million. So, I mean, when does it end?
Yeah, but come on. I mean, somebody gets upset because your teammate gets a little more than you do and you're making a lot of money. Sooner or later, if you're a team player, let's go. You know what? You sign these deals when you had them.
Yes.
The market dictates that the following year or two later, this there's more money out. This guy's going to get that. You know what? So what? Otherwise, fire your agent for not getting you a better deal. I
Right.
don't know.
Hey, look what happened in New York. Scherzer signs for 42 mil. DeGrom opts out of his deal the last year. He was getting 32. Now he wants to get paid more than Scherzer, no matter who brings him in. And I'm like, and the guy has pitched very sporadically over the last few years.
Yeah, and John, if that's your priority, if that is bothering you that this guy's making a little bit more, and when you're talking about the scale of all the money each of those guys are making anyway, I think your priority is a little bit off. People call your bluff. Is it really about winning now, or are you just worried about this or that? So I have a problem with some of that.
Yeah, it's just there's so much money out there, and it gets ridiculous when you hear these rumors of stories and why guys opt out and what they're looking for. But another,
I tell you what, I would take Bo Bichette any day of the week. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee he's a team guy. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Great move, Al. If Alex Anthopoulos down there in Atlanta's thinking that, and they'll do it, do it.
Wow, wouldn't that would rattle a lot of feathers in Canada and here in the States for sure. I mean, that would be a major trade. Baseball winter meetings coming up, so I'm sure that there'll be a lot of rumors before them. But one of the other things I want to discuss about the Blue Jays is the logjam in the catching position. There's a lot of speculation that one of these three guys for the Blue Jays is going to be moved in a trade because you got three catchers that are really major league level now. The rookie, Gabriel Moreno, he's 22 years old, and then you have Alejandro Kirk, and then you have Danny Jansen. So it's kind of a crowded field right now. Do you think that there's going to be a move when one of these guys is going to go, and who do you think it's going to be?
Well, they almost have to in a way, because Moreno, he's kind of forcing his hand that he's ready. Yeah. And he's been up and he's had some success. And, Kirk had a tremendous year. And Danny Jansen's really, I think he's the most elite defender, and he's turning into a pretty good offensive threat himself.
Yeah.
Very few teams have have that luxury. And it's probably it's hard to carry. It would be hard to carry three catchers unless you're going to use one of them as a DH, which they could do, I guess. But if I was to guess if they definitely going to do it, I would say they probably trade Danny Jansen. Number one, he's his service time. He's got the most service time.
He's got 2 years remaining before he under team control, so that could be a factor.
Right. Oh yeah, that will, and that matters. They're all three of them are really good. Then they have Moreno under control for a lot.
6 years. 6 years for him, and Kirk 4 years under team control. So
yeah, so
that comes back into the mix now, doesn't it, John? It's like when you're looking to move a guy or possibly trade somebody or keep him. It's really interesting that now teams look at how many more years of control do we have over this guy.
Yeah. I get that if you have like even players or you view them as like these guys are, it's a flip of a coin. They're both so good. Now, if you have one, there's some disparity in their talent wise. I have a problem with that if you keep the lesser talent because he's got more years, but I would say, and I think a very important thing here, people don't always realize, of the three catchers, Danny Jansen was not drafted by this regime, and you may think that's all BS, but that factors in sometimes,
It's a good point.
So obviously they may like this guy or that guy better because they drafted him. So just a little small note.
Yeah. I mean, in the game.
Good problem to have, though. Good problem to have.
Three quality catchers.
You got some teams out there they have zero catching. They're dying to find a backup.
And finally, on our leadoff segment, Pete Rose, 81 years old, writes a letter to Commissioner Rob Manfred asking for another chance at the Hall of Fame. A lot of back and forth on this, and either on one side or the other. I think Rose should be a Hall of Famer. What's your opinion, John?
Yeah, I do too. I understand he broke the gambling rules, and every spring training, every team they get a visit from the Major League Baseball offices and security and all that. And they go around and they have this big poster that's put in every clubhouse in baseball, the gambling rules and things like that. And somebody has to read it out so the team hears it. So there's clearly, everybody knows what the law is, how it works. But now you look at gambling's involved in baseball. They've kind of loosened the purse strings on that. But what he did was absolutely wrong. But my feeling is I'd put him in the Hall of Fame because he's a hit king, right? He's got more hits than anybody in the history of the game. But
Yeah.
put an asterisk up there saying, he was
Put
found
an
guilty of
asterisk.
this. Because there's a lot of guys that are probably your most morally upstanding characters in there, and there's guys in there. You can see these guys that accused of steroids or they've known steroids. They're not getting in, but I guarantee you, there's some that have been put in that were steroid users. Maybe the media or somebody else liked them a little more than the other guy.
Yeah.
That's a known fact. So the only way, if somebody's under suspicion, Barry Bonds or whoever you want, put an asterisk by there too because he accomplished too much. And so these young kids and families go watch and they see that asterisk and they read it. It's a numbers game anyway, right?
Yeah. And Rosa certainly has made every effort to come back, and he's trying one last time, I guess, and we'll see what happens with that. But that's what's going on in the leadoff segment. And now we're going to go to another Gabbing with Gibby.
All right. A good one, too. Another first-class kid right here. He's not a kid anymore. He was a kid when I had him. He ain't a kid anymore.
Now it's time for another Gabbing with Gibby segment. Today we are happy to bring on someone who is a legendary player for the Toronto Blue Jays, playing 12 seasons for Toronto from 1999 to 2010, hitting 280, 270 home runs, 90 steals. Vernon Wells. Vernon, welcome to Gabbing with Gibby.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, is that a perfect segment name right there, Gabbin? Gabbin with you?
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, we had many different times of Gabbin with Gibby over our years, so yes, it's fitting.
It's funny, Vernon. Everybody tells me all the time, nobody can understand what I'm saying. I said, that's perfect. See, if they can't understand what you're saying, you keep them guessing. You always keep everybody on their toes, right?
Oh, they act like you're Orlando Hudson. You couldn't understand what Orlando
Hudson is.
You're different.
I don't know, man. Oh, that's funny. Well, I got to say this. I got the chance to manage in Toronto for a number of years, and got manage some great players, and Vern's right at the top, and I don't mean that just from a player standpoint, right? That was just a great player. He encompassed it all. Just a good dude, a great role model, a great face of the franchise, a great family man, all those things. So it's kind of, it's there's a little more here than just bringing on a great player, and it was a treat, put it that way, to get a chance to manage you, and we're glad you came back on our show. How about this way? I'm trying to make a living doing this crap now. Did you ever figure that? Come on.
No, I didn't see you doing the podcast like not back in our day. I mean, I think that's something that people don't understand is, like you said, like there's so much that goes into just playing baseball. So many different factors that go into it, and to be honest, you made it easy. Like that was your rules were fairly easy. Be on time, play hard, and won't have any issues. And if you screwed up, then yes, you were going to hear about it.
Oh, was that bad? Was I wasn't a whiner, was I?
Whiner? No.
Was I a nitpicker?
No, you just let people know when they weren't doing stuff the correct way, which was the way it should be. Hold people accountable. Like that was who you were. You made no bones about it, and guys respected it. And if they didn't, that means they probably didn't like being held accountable. It's that easy.
Well,
hey, did
Vernon,
you ever feel the wrath of Gibby, Vernon?
The wrath of Gibby? No, I never had to. Like, I talk about managers, and I had several of them, and I always say Gibby was my favorite because Gibby would communicate with you. Like when I was struggling, he'd call me in his office, and he's like, "What do you want to do? You want to lead off? Do you want to hit fifth? Do you want to hit sixth? What do you want to do?" Like trying to figure out ways to get me out of where I was going to, as opposed to just moving me and not saying anything. Like that's the way a manager should operate. And I tried to tell Anthopoulos after you were gone the first time, and then he was after Cito was leaving, who should have been the manager, and I said it should have been you immediately. But they went with John Farrell, whatever, blah blah blah. But it ended up correcting itself.
Hey, Vern. Well, see, he listened to you just a little bit delayed. He couldn't eat that much humble pie. He had to kind of I'll be done.
Yeah. Alex couldn't let me be right. Why would he let me be right?
It's oh, that's so funny. And we talk about lineups and things like that and changing. That was kind of like analytics before analytics was even around, right?
Oh my goodness.
What do you think of the game? What do you think of the state of the game right now? Honestly,
it's hard. It's hard to watch. It's hard to understand kind of what's being taught. Like back then, people don't understand. Like analytics have always been a part of the game. We've always had information. Like,
right?
That's always been there. It's just how we use the information to make necessary changes while we're on the field. But those numbers and they can't dictate what takes place on a daily basis. Like you got to have guys that can play the game, that know the game, and use that information just to help them be better. That's all it takes. But now it seems like we're getting to the point where the numbers dictate what goes on during a baseball game.
Yes, yeah. It's like they've taken the human elements just completely, out of the thing. And even you watch. I guess what I hate seeing in you watch his games now, like once you get, if you're lucky if a starter goes 5 innings, if I'm an owner and I pay somebody a starting pitcher a huge contract, he can only go 4 or 5 innings. I'm going, what do we just do here?
Yeah.
But it's like here comes a new pitcher every inning. It's almost like there's no. I guess no feel really, or each night's different. One night this guy's good, the next night it's almost like you said, a number is going to dictate everything we do that night. And I think it has cost some teams. I think it's you really get to see it in the postseason, and I think it's cost some teams.
Well, especially
what are you going to do? Hey, what?
Kevin Cash. You remember Kevin Cash against the Dodgers in the World Series?
Oh yeah.
I mean, making a decision based off of, okay, well, it's our third time through, so we got to take Snell out. And Snell's been dominating him. But you don't understand. What people don't understand is like, and coming up in that lineup, and I happen to be at that game, and it's Corey Seager and Mookie Betts are coming up. And Cash goes out to the mound, and I'm thinking, do not take him out. And I'm looking at those two. I happen to be sitting above the on-deck circle. I'm looking at those two talking. And they're talking to themselves. They're like, are they taking him out? And as soon as they took him out, you could see this sigh of relief over their faces. And then all of a sudden, hits. Like it's just feel of the game.
Yeah, and I think he had punched both of those guys.
Oh yeah, they hadn't come close. They looked ugly. They didn't want to see him again.
Yeah, and Vern, I've said many times to people, it's like. Because I've done some, made some stupid pitching changes, right? But as you're walking out to the mound, it's almost like you can look over their dugout and you see those guys going, "Hey, thank you very much. What are you doing, idiot?"
Exactly.
Thank you. And it changed. It's like we're not sniffing this guy. I don't care if he's got 120 pitches. He's tired. Well, he's got us tonight, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
That's where the game's changed. And there's another one too. Okay, there hasn't been a better defender in center field than you, hands down. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do it easier than you did it. And it kind of, I've seen many guys, make diving plays and all that. I've seen guys time it so they can make diving plays.
Yeah.
But you had that gift, but it just didn't happen. I mean, you would work every day during BP and all that. But you could get to more balls. But I had this debate. We were talking about Alex a while ago, Anthopoulos, and a couple of the other front office guys. And it was kind of analytics was kind of turning. This was my second go round towards the end. That were the defensive analytics, and that's a big argument. Well, that how legitimate is that? I don't buy any of that when I see some of these guys right getting gold gloves and stuff. But the big argument was, well, we need the analytics saying we need to play these. The outfielders deeper, right? Take away doubles and just give them the little crap hits in front, what have you. And one of my argument was, I said, you guys got so spoiled watching Vernon Wells play out here. Now you're trying. You're not going to find another Vernon Wells. So maybe analytics needs to help us here or there because Vern would go here. He's going to run it down. And you guys would be out there. You would be trusting your instincts, right? You watch a guy swing. If he's fouling the ball off, you make your adjustment.
Yeah.
You kind of and Nowadays, man, they pick out the card out of the back pocket and say, "Well, I'm supposed to do this." It's like, I think that's I think that's taken away a lot of the fun of the game too. And these guys are robots.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken away the instinctual side of things. Like the way we played was the game told us, the game dictated like where we needed to be, pitch to pitch. If like you can look at charts and things like that, and this is what he's done his last 6 games. That's great, but he hasn't faced this pitcher. He might be tired. He might be late. He might be early. We don't know, but we know dictate whatever swing he takes or who he's facing. So at that time, like you said, yeah, we would move pitch to pitch. We communicate with each other pitch to pitch, like, you know what, let's shave over into this gap, as opposed to I'm going to pull this piece of paper out and this says to do this, so I'm going to play there so I don't get in trouble. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Do this regardless. I don't care what he's telling me. I got to do this regardless, But you made it easy, though. Hey, I mean, we got to be honest, too. I mean, some of this analytics has definitely helped some guys. Mm-hmm. But you were kind of the exception out there, too. You could overcome a lot of things that most of these guys can't, So,
well, I tell people it is interesting. Like, I tell people, and it's kind of an odd thing, but I had the ability somehow to know where balls were going before they were hit. Like, every now and then I get a feeling like, okay, knowing situation, pitch count, who's on the mound, who's hitting. And as the ball is approaching home plate, I'm almost leaning in that direction because I have a feeling that that's where it's going. So, yeah, we all have our different natural gifts, and defense was one of mine.
Right. Well, that's why you had that kind of career. All right. Hey, I got another thing here. I was looking up some of your stats, right? We talk about the new modern day game, right? Now they give scheduled days off. They give, whatever, right? And this isn't the bass-based modern day baseball, but it's kind of, the way it's changed. I don't think necessarily it's for the better. 2000, you had a monster year in 2003. You had so many good years. You really did. You remember that 2003 year? You could have won the MVP, right? I mean, there's no doubt about it. You should have probably. Go ahead.
I can agree. I can agree with that, but I may have been one of the few natural athletes without any enhanced substance into my body at that time. So it was an uphill battle, but exactly. I'll take it.
Exactly. But here's what I want. Okay. How many games in a season? 162?
160.
Right? You played 161.
Yeah.
Okay. Nowadays, nobody's playing 161, and they won't even let them if they wanted to, right? They give them these scheduled days off. You had over 700 plate appearances, and you struck out like 80 times. That's it. Nowadays, it's like nobody cares if anybody strikes out, right?
Yeah.
You hit a ton of home runs that year too. And,
I hit 30.
But if you go up there swinging for a home run every time, you might have hit 30 more. Who knows? But it's kind of like that's you get that many plate appearances. You put the ball in play. You score your runs. You're one of the top run scorers in the game. The only thing you didn't do was you cut down on your stolen bases because I guess you're hitting too many doubles or something.
Yeah, too many doubles, and Delgado was behind me, so I had to leave the hole open. So I got to know all the first basemen really well.
Good point.
Good
point. Yeah, so it's the game. I guess you look at those numbers. You went up there. You're going to put the ball in play. Nowadays, I don't know. You watch some of those playoff games, and I know the pitching's good. Sometimes you got to tip your hat. The pitch is really good sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But it's like nobody cares. Guys dragging that bat back to the dugout, what have you. It's like that's so when I read those numbers, I look at that and go, and I knew that, you in a over 900 OPS and all that. But the game you played the game. You're kind of a modern day guy, but playing it old fashioned too. I mean, you do the little things. The defense is important to you. You run the great base runner. And you know what? You're going to put the ball in play. You ain't going to whiff, 150, 180 times, and so anyway. I mean,
you don't.
Hey, dude, I couldn't wait to get.
Yeah, that's the thing is like you have zero chance if you're striking out. Like, at least if you put the ball in play, something could possibly happen. Like, if you put the ball, like, let's say, that many plate appearances, 700 plate appearances, whatever it is, this guy's striking out 200 times. let's take 100 out of those and just put the ball in play. And I guarantee you, there could be 20 to 30 to 40 hits in there. It's like, it doesn't make any sense to me, but analytics says that I'd rather you strike out than hit a double play, assuming I'm going to hit a double play. Like, it doesn't, the rationale doesn't make any sense.
No. So, Johnny, what do you got for this guy?
First, I'd like to know, you spent a lot of time with the Blue Jays, obviously. What's your favorite memory being a Toronto Blue Jay?
Oh, man. Some controversial ones that involve that guy right there. Obviously, with Ted Lilly and Shea Hillenbrand. Those were classics. Like the Ted Lilly one for sure, because for some reason our Jumbotron people in stadium had the cameras focused on those two on the mound. And it's almost like watching a movie. So I turn around, and I would always turn around when Gibby would make his trips to the mound and just take a look at the Jumbotron. It's like I'm watching live, just reality television take place in front of me between those two. And it was I obviously everything that took place after, and I couldn't wait to get in to just find out, okay, what happened? I walked up to Gibby, and Gibby's just sitting there, normal, a little bit of spit on his jacket from his chewing. And I said, Gibby, you all right, man? He's like, yeah, Vern, I'm good. He said, some bitch a lot stronger than I thought he was.
Hey, Vern, don't forget now. Hey, I think Teddy was a free agent that year. And I love Teddy, man. God bless him. But I think we gave him like an 8-0 lead on Danny Herron, and Herron was dealing that year,
oh my gosh!
Next thing you know, it walks it.
Well,
and then he dropped that. He
dropped down. He dropped down to a knuckleball to Chavez on a 3-0 count.
Yeah,
0-2. I'm sitting in center field. I'm like, what is going on right now? But yeah, we had an 8-0 lead in the second, and then Ted is messing around, and then all hell broke loose at that point. It was awesome.
Oh gosh, man. I don't know if it was one of my finer moments, but it was enjoyable. It's kind of fun to look back and laugh.
Oh yeah,
it really is.
No doubt about it. I think on a personal note, as far as experiences, was when John McDonald came back after his father's passing on Father's Day, and we're getting blown out, and he gets a chance to get up to the plate, hits a home run, and just tears flying everywhere. Everybody became just babies at that point. It was an awesome moment. So personally, that was definitely one of my favorites.
That's pretty awesome. Hey, well, the people up there, not only Toronto and Canada, loved you, and in the U.S. too. You got anything you want to say to them Canadian fans up there, the Blue Jays fans?
Well, they're crazy. I didn't realize how crazy. They were. I knew it going into it just because Yankees come in town, and I remember once AJ Burnett was with him, and I remember standing on second base, and it felt like the building was shaking with them just getting all over AJ because we were hitting him around. And then I come in as an opposing player for the first time, and being in left field, the stuff that I heard, it was like, I never played for the Blue Jays ever, and I was their worst enemy. And it was like, these people are freaking nuts out here.
They thought you jumped ship on them, man. You were a traitor or something, huh?
Yeah, I asked for it. I didn't ask for it. You need to yell at Alex. That wasn't my fault.
Exactly, man. You're an innocent bystander. You know what? Oh, that's so.
Yeah, I got a couple more here. I mean, when you look at even your entrepreneurial spirit, and that's kind of part of your legacy with your family. Your dad was a CFL player for Calgary, and he has become, from what I've heard, the most commissioned sports artist ever. I mean, that is I looked at some of his work, went on his website. What an incredible body of work and what he does. Can you kind of explain how, your relationship with your dad and the entrepreneurial spirit that he's had and made a great living at being an artist in sports, and then segueing into kind of something entrepreneurial for you. So I'll get your comments on your dad, and then I have a little entrepreneurial thing for you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, my dad, like it was something that he was gifted with. It wasn't anything that he had to go to school for. He went to school for communications and was a really good artist. And when his dream of football ended, he did a painting of Steve Largent way back in the day. Steve loved it, bought it, and then from that point on, that became kind of who he was. So he was in clubhouses when I was 9, 10, 11 years old. He would take me into the clubhouse at the old Arlington Stadium when the A's would come into town. Ricky Henderson and Dave Stewart and all those guys are in there. So that it allowed me to kind of be in that atmosphere early and see what life was like just at the big league level. And then he's just, everybody knows his art. Like it's been amazing to kind of watch that growth and his ability to make things look lifelike. And now he's getting older, may not be as sharp, but it's amazing. It's amazing what he's able to do with, at the time, pencil when he was younger. Yeah, and now basically spray paint.
With all the sports cards that he worked with Score, I believe, early on, and
Upper Deck. It was Upper Deck early
just
on.
to see what he and Upper Deck, and just to see what he's done today is pretty incredible. And what a great career he had after sports. And yourself, I mean, is it true that you got your agent's license now?
I do. Yeah, I got it as soon as I was done playing because I was a player rep when I played, so I knew all the questions that were going to be on the test because I had been studying for that test for 15 years as being part of the union. So I took it just because it was something I knew I could have in my back pocket, and kind of jumped into the agent game the last few years and realized why some agents are talked about as bad as they are, because there's some shady dudes out there, man. Like, just, I get it. It's your livelihood. It's why you're in it to make money. I get it. I'm in it for different reasons. I'm in it to be able to help hopefully a young man and their family achieve what they want to achieve, and know that it's hard and it sucks at times, and the struggle of the minor league life, the big league life. Like, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. Like, it's really hard to do, and you're going to find yourself in some dark places at some dark times. And how do you navigate through that process? So that's why I got on this side of it.
And the competitiveness between the agents has got to be, just like you said, it's in every industry when it comes down to agents, and no matter what business you're in, I mean, it can be a little shady sometimes. And there are some guys that are a little bit more, in it for different reasons. I mean, from what you're saying, helping the young ball players and kind of helping guide them rather than just going after the $100 million contract. Well, although that's nice, but just got to commend you for that, trying to help the younger guys.
Well, you hope those guys,
Vern,
those guys turn into it.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, after being on the show, do you think we need an agent after being on the show right here? Is this one going?
Or everything I've seen on y'all's podcast is hilarious, and the responses that you guys are getting, like, people love it. I don't think anybody expected this side of Gibby because they didn't necessarily get to see it as much when you were managing.
No, you're right. You know what, I try to have a little fun. You kind of see the way it goes. We kind of bring in a present day player, and then a retired guy, and then we snuck Alex in there. So, we kind of we're just trying to hopefully talk and give people have a little fun, reminiscing a little bit, and things like that. So,
and Gibby's going to be an author soon. His book comes out in April. His memoir.
You're writing too?
Vern.
Speaking, I get writing. You're writing too?
Coloring book. It's a coloring book.
Yeah.
Oh, coloring book.
No, his memoir. It's called Gibby Tales of a Baseball Lifer. It comes out in April.
Yeah, some guy up in Toronto is writing it for me. And I said, "What? Really?" I said, "I wouldn't even buy it," but he said, "Let's try it." Yeah.
Oh man,
can you believe that?
Major deal.
I want.
And I had to quit.
There better be full detail of what took place in that tunnel.
Oh, I told you I had Teddy, man. I had Teddy in a headlock, right? And I was trying because Johnny's the wrestler. I was trying to get up underneath there. He's wiry, strong, stronger than I thought. And I was a little bit older, and then I came out of there, and they used to have those Gatorade was a big sponsor then. I don't know if the Gatorade towels, So I go sit back down the end of the bench, and I'm like hyperventilating. I thought my heart was gonna explode, right? And so I grabbed one of those Gatorade towels, and I'm like wiping my face. And somebody said they saw, I guess, like, the orange mark on Gatorade, like, that was visible, and they thought it was like a bloody nose. I said, bloody nose? Yeah. I had that guy down there right where I wanted him. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I laugh now. We laugh now. My mom said she got on me a little bit.
Well, I'm sure she did.
Anyway, hey, let me tell you something. You actually saved me once. When Shay and I, had our little problem there. It was a crazy day, counting day. That we were playing the Yanks, man, right? And then you walked off Mariano Rivera to save the day. You say, you know what? You remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember.
I hope you remember that.
I remember that meeting like it was yesterday, and that was.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the walk-off homer.
Yeah, the walk-off homer was cool. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, it was Mariano. Awesome. The meeting.
Off who? Mariano? Yes.
Yeah, the meeting topped it. Like that meeting was epic. And yes, I'm glad I was able to kind of end the night on a good note. But I remember that meeting being that was something I'll never ever forget. Obviously, I won't forget hitting a walk-off against Mariano either because he was the greatest of all time. But you made it double.
And I don't think many have done that.
Special moment. No, not too many.
Hey, Vern, you might have actually saved my job too. JP ended up he got DFA'd or he got traded to the Giants. If you don't hit that homer, I might have been the one that was DFA'd then.
It was always going to be just a matter of time for whoever was managing our team because somebody's head was going to be on a block. It didn't matter. That was just the way it was. I mean, they acted like they stacked our teams and we should have been winning when the Yankees and the Red Sox were spending an exorbitant amount of money, and they were replacing guys that were hurt with guys that would be starting on other teams. So, and we get guys hurt, we didn't have anybody to replace them. So, like, we had to be perfect, right? And it was not possible.
And well, you know what though, too. I mean, we didn't have enough depth in our pitching. We had some good offenses. There's no doubt about it. And but we didn't have enough pitching to top to bottom to carry you through.
Hey guys.
That was back, before the old. You there?
Mm-hmm.
You say, hey, guy. Before before all the extra wild cards and all that stuff too. And the Yankees and the Red Sox. Yeah, but we had some good teams. We had some fun. But you're right. Everybody throws up that optimism, right? Hey, we're going to win it this year and all that. But in reality, that wasn't going to happen.
Hey, I want to go back for a second because you brought something up about that meeting. Why don't you walk us through that meeting? What was that? Give us a little bit of an insider viewpoint of what happened in that meeting.
You want to do this? You want to do this or me?
Or can you? I don't know. Are we going too inside? I mean, you brought something up, which I think a lot of people really would like to know now.
I forgot it. See, sometimes people go through trauma, they forget things. Yeah, I forgot things.
Got it.
Yeah. Shay, let's put
or is it a no
way.
comment on that?
No, Shay had it coming. Like that was the thing. It's like Shay and Hillenbrand and I, we were fine. Like we'd go to dinner, go to lunch with groups, and you just knew Shay was different. Like there was something off with Shay. He would say stuff that no one else in the world would ever even think about saying to people, and he would somehow get away with it. And I remember the first time he wrote this on the board was when we were in Colorado, and he wrote "Ship is sinking," and we're like, "You need to take that down. Like, erase it, take it down. Not cool." And he didn't. He's like, "Whatever." And Gibby somewhat addressed it, and he didn't really unleash at that time. Just mentioned it. Okay, let's move on. Then he decided to do it again, and when he did it the second time, all hell broke loose, and it was the meeting of meetings, and Shay deserved it. He was asking for it. I don't think he ever thought he'd get called out on it, and he did. and that was what Gibby was about, is holding guys accountable. Like, it's either you're with us or you're against us. If you're against us, then so you got to go.
Yeah.
I won't say
Vern,
exactly
I
what Gibby
appreciate
said.
you, pal.
I won't say exactly what Gibby said, because
Leave that for the book.
Leave that for the book. That cannot be repeated, what was said in that meeting.
Hey, Vern, don't let these things fool you now. There's still something there, brother.
Oh, I think he saw it. And he respected it for sure.
No, man. That's the old football. See, I actually played some high school football too now. I didn't like you did, but I got a little bit of that in Texas, just like you. Guys realize, I don't know if everybody, Vern was a stud quarterback. He was going to go and play at the University of Texas before, the Blue Jays lured him away. And I said the other day on that clip, that's when Texas was good too. It's like, now it's like, gosh, God, what are we doing now? Do you ever have any regrets? Do you ever miss football? And I know your dad played, and
yeah.
do you ever, obviously baseball turned out to be a tremendous career for you, but do you ever look back and go, gosh, I wish I had done some of that?
I missed it bad for 2 years. Like, once I was 2 years after high school, I missed it. There's no other sport where you have that feeling. Like, it's a different team. It's a different type of team sport that you just can't mimic anywhere else. And I love it. I actually coached it for the last 6-7 years, and it's a blast. I love football.
Yeah. Well, your son's pretty doggone good.
He's pretty good. He's got some ability, and he's got just enough turd in him to be pretty good. So we'll see what happens. This football recruiting, this college recruiting football stuff is absolutely nuts. Like, it's baseball. I get the challenges that we have, but the football is a whole nother level, because if you're not a certain size, you run a certain number, certain things, like, you won't even be on some people's boards. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are at football. It's just measurements. So he's
got like baseball then, in that sense.
Well, that's what Mom wants him to play baseball. Yeah, Mom wants him to play. He's like, nah, it's too boring.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, you got a wonderful family, man. You know what? You guys are a tight knit group, and you're a great leader of your family. And I'm gonna tell you, your mom and dad did a tremendous job too. Hey, you know what? For you to turn out the way you did, and the example you set, and the way you carry yourself in the class, and it's nice to see, because it's not everybody's like that,
Yeah, I appreciate that, but
and you're not throwing guys in headlocks.
No. I felt like it a couple times. There's no doubt about it. There was 2 that we had over our time together that I wouldn't have mind throwing in a headlock, but only 2, so that's pretty good after all those years of playing baseball.
That's because everybody liked you, man. You're easy to get along with, Vern.
Yeah.
I got one just based on the season that ended for the Blue Jays, which was really sad at the end, obviously, and that little seeing eye bloop that dropped in between Springer and Bichette. Did you see that play? And I mean,
I was there
as
for
a
it.
center fielder. I mean, talk us through.
That's right. You threw out the first pitch, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, and it kind of goes back to some of the analytical things we were talking about before, Gibby, when talking about playing deep. You got to know your hitters. The guy who's hitting, lefty, not much pop. Like, if he runs into something, it's rare. He's more likely going to beat you in front. But Springer's playing deep. Bo's an athlete. He wants to go get the baseball. When you have situation when the ball has to get caught there, and you have 2 guys that are ultra aggressive, that's what's going to happen. And thankfully, no one was seriously injured, but just throughout that game, you could just start to kind of feel the tide turning. And when it turned, it was over with. And then obviously that's baseball. You make one mistake and you have a team that's rolling, they will make you pay, and they did.
Yeah, no, you're right. But hey, I'm going to go back to your defensive play, right? Nobody's ever gone back on a ball better, easier than you did. That's why you were able, like you talk about. Yeah, that's instinct. If this guy doesn't have, he's probably not going to burn you deep.
Right.
Maybe they go into no doubles. I don't know. but just you as a center fielder, Gold Glover. Not because you're on the show, but I got to believe you might be sitting there going, "Think." That's all I'm gonna say. Game over. Sorry, I got to say that. But
yeah, I mean, yes. I was having that conversation when we were watching the game, like as it was taking place, and yeah, I mean, it's nothing against George, it's nothing against Bo. It's just the way I would have approached the situation would have been different. Like there wouldn't have been a card that needed to tell me where to play in a situation like that. It's like I know who's on the mound, I know who's at the plate. I have a pretty good idea of he's not going to hit anything over my head, and if he does, yeah, like you said, I had the ability to go back on balls really well and track them very well, so it allowed me to play a little bit more shallow on things. So if I were out there today, there wouldn't have been even a collision because I wouldn't have been anywhere close to it. But back in the day, yes, I would have caught that ball.
Well, I'm telling you, infielders knew you were going to get to things. So they're going to pull up short anyway because they know Vern's going to be there, right?
Well, Vernon, I want to thank you very much for your time today on the Gabbin with Gibby segment. It's been a pleasure. It was wonderful to meet you.
Good, yeah, I appreciate it. Good meeting you and Gibby. Always good catching up, man. It's been a while, and nothing but luck and success in this podcast journey.
Hey, Vern, man, I can't thank you enough, pal. I'm proud of you. I admire you for who you are and what you've done and what you continue to do, and you have a wonderful family. You're doing everything right, and give everybody our best. All righty, you do that for us.
I'll do that, man.
All right, and steer your son right to the right college football program now. All right.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. Hopefully, he'll be doing it somewhere, making plays on a Saturday.
Are you going to be like his agent? You can't be his agent too soon now in football, can you?
I don't know. Just as long as you just kind of stay within the rules, I guess. Yes.
Rules? There's no rules in football. All right, pal. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Thanks, Gibby.
See you, buddy.
Another Gabbin with Gibby, another one, John. You came through again with Vernon Wells. Great interview. But now it's time for our next Ask Gibby segment. Time to ask John a couple of questions brought to you by Budweiser. If we select your question and use it here on this podcast, you will receive a gift package from Budweiser because that's what buds do. There we go. John, we got a couple of interesting questions for you here today. The first one comes from a gentleman named Adam Malocci. Sounds like an Italiano. Adam from Quebec City. And it says, how long did you chew? Do you still chew in secret? And are you happy you quit from what I can tell? What do you think of players in the league still allowing players and coaches to chew? Thanks, Adam, Quebec City.
Well, hopefully Adam doesn't chew, man. That's I chewed for, and I'm not proud to say this, for about 20 years, right? I grew up in Texas, and it was kind of common. Guys chewing tobacco, snuff, whether they're going out hunting or working or whatever they're doing, right? Just kind of, it's more prevalent, in a lot of these areas. And so that's kind of where I first got started. And then I got into pro ball, and it's like everybody was doing it, right? And it's a terrible habit. But my mother was a dental hygienist, and she would get, I don't know, every day she'd get on me, especially when I started, I got to Toronto and I was managing, and so I was on TV a lot. She'd wear me out, and then she'd tell me stories of, well, my friend, I saw your friend came in and got his teeth cleaned. I cleaned his teeth today, and he had precancerous lesions, and I'm going, oh God. So anyway, I was hearing that. Finally, I got smart enough, and I quit. But I started chewing Nicorette gum, and then Major League Baseball started supplying Nicorette gum to anybody that on these teams that wanted to quit, which was a wonderful thing, and it helped me get off it. But it's a terrible habit, nasty habit. But it's tough to kick, and I'm I got these pearly whites right now. I didn't want to ruin them,
Yeah, you got nice teeth there, John.
Oh yeah, too bad they're not real. Why are you saying that?
There you go. Great question. Thanks, Adam. We have another one that came in, and this was on Twitter. And this is from Brad Pattison. And his question to ask Gibby is, when you managed, was there one umpire in particular that you knew you were going to have a problem with before the game even started?
Oh, gosh. Well, yeah, you'd always get the list before the series of who the umpiring crew was, right? And I got to say, I'm going to give you two. And it doesn't mean I didn't like these guys, but I knew there was going to be problems, whether it was from me or the guys on our team, because, they had the reputation either, or people didn't think they were very good, or they could be confrontational. They wouldn't give you a little leeway or a little chance to, even the great players, right? The game's all about great players. So if a great player wants to jaw with you a little bit or complain, umpires, the good ones, are smart enough to give them a little bit. This is a show, and these guys would always fight against that, and they were very paranoid. But I got to say, it's got to be Angel Hernandez. And I liked Angel. That's the thing. I mean, I got along with him good, but there was always something going on, with you can see it's kind of carried over. And then CB Buckner was another one that I don't think he really cared for me, and he was justified in that probably, because in our teams, we complained a lot, and there's no doubt about it. Most of the time it was justified. A lot of times it wasn't necessarily. But when you get a reputation like we did as a team, that we could whine a little bit, but you get a reputation as an umpire that you're not very good, or that you're looking for trouble yourself, that's what happened. So it's kind of like a mixture. I don't know.
You had kind of a volatile personality with the 52 ejections, whatever you had. I mean, it was like...
Is that it?
I would advise everybody out there, if you haven't gone to YouTube and checked out all of your ejections, they're there in one place, in one long video. It's hilarious. It really is.
Oh, you know what's bad though?
Sometimes passionate.
Yeah, passionate. Either that or the teams were so bad, I didn't want to sit out there and watch 9 innings of it. I got to hit in there about 5 innings in.
Or they go in the back and have a bud.
I'm thinking, I look up at the stands every now and then and go, these people paid all this money to watch this crap? Something good at.
Great question.
Sometimes you got to be honest. You got to be honest.
Exactly. I mean, you are, my friend. You are. That was great. Another Ask Gibby segment is sponsored by Budweiser. So if you want to ask Gibby a question and have a chance to receive that Budweiser gift pack, just send your questions to us at askgibbyshow@gmail.com or use the hashtag AskGibby. Well, John, that's going to wrap up another one here. So we had another great show, lots of things going on. We'll be continuing to follow what's going on in the free agent marketplace, trades, baseball winter meetings coming up. So we've enjoyed it. Another great show.
Yeah, Johnny, I really enjoyed that. And it's a big time of year. This is where the general managers make their hay, I think, and get the reputations, what they do during the offseason to identify what they need. Some guys obviously are better at making trades and working the phones, and they have better relationships or whatever, or they just there's better baseball minds. Yeah. They make the deals and put them over the top. They all can't do that. It's like any position in the game. There's some guys that are better than others, and but this is where GMs make their hay, I think.
That is very true, and you get the straight scoop from John, his opinions, his knowledge as an insider, and so it'll be really exciting for us to be able to week after week now continue to follow this free agent journey, the baseball trades, the winter meetings, and everything that surrounds the Toronto Blue Jays and their quest to make themselves better for next year. So for John Gibbons, my name is John Arezzi. Have a great week, everybody.